Hello, hello. Welcome everybody. Episode 119 of Anime on Draft. How's everybody doing today? Joined with joined with the full crew of the boys. We got Alec, Rolando, and Mark. And we got beers. We got beers this week, so that's something that's exciting. Lots to talk about this week, though. Not only are we going to be drinking the Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest, but we're going to be talking about can art. And I'm actually kind of looking forward to this conversation because we've actually seen a ton of can art since we've been drinking a lot of crazy different beers. So I'm interested in hearing what y'all have to say about that. Then what are we doing for anime? So the 3 episode rule. We talked about a lot of the different shows that we're going to be watching going forward here, and so we're going to give some of our first impressions for what's aired and what hasn't. So we'll definitely get into that. What else we got? We got Orishiri, Cowboy Bebop episode 1 and 2. We are watching the English dub. So I actually really enjoyed going back and talking about it. So we'll get into some of that. We got some Demon Slayer, some Ghibli Fest, other animes, and then we'll close it out. So we got as you can see, a jam-packed schedule today, boys. So, without further ado, I introduced it before, but we will be drinking the Sierra Nevada 2019 version of the Oktoberfest. We mentioned, yeah, that is a gorgeous Stein from Bavaria. Look at that thing from the Hofbrauhaus.
It's
that
really
is
heavy.
impressive.
Yeah, I bet.
That's a lot of beer in there.
It looks heavy.
One of those
Way to
was
start out right.
€9 in a beer, or
Oh
to
my
buy
God.
like when you're at Hofbräu, like you
Nice.
buy a €9 Stein like that, like a pour. It's just like that's what you
That's
get.
awesome.
It's a lot of beer for
I'm
€9.
jealous.
Yeah.
We will be checking
It's a
in
lot
on
of
you throughout the show and making sure that you're doing okay over there. But that's impressive. We talked about it last year. Sierra Nevada does this collaboration for a fest style beer every year, and last year it was Weinsteflaner, correct?
Yeah.
And this year it is with Bitburger. I don't think we've talked about any of their beers on this show before, but Rolando, I know when we first started mentioning this beer, you had mentioned you were familiar with the brewery, but did you go there when you visited, or you just had some beers from there?
I've only just had beers from Bitburger.
So yeah, I think we're kind of doing like a newer thing here. So we're gonna like pour it out. We're gonna drink it for a little bit, and then we'll kind of come back and talk about it like as it's kind of changed. But any general first impressions before we jump into our first topic?
Beautiful color.
Yeah. It's got a
Looks
nice,
like an
nice amber
Oktoberfest.
color.
Yeah.
Amber.
Very fest beery. It does have a lot of head when you first pour it out.
It is a nice.
I'm gonna struggle with this. This is really heavy.
Yeah, two-hand that. We don't want any accidents. Any accidents going down. How heavy are the
strains in the
steins that you
finish.
can lift?
Yeah.
New meme.
It's a good one. It's a
New
good
meme.
one.
New meme.
New meaning.
So
Like your mom in
let's
Oh my god.
so let's enjoy this for a little bit, and while we're kind of sipping on this, let's talk about some can art. So who suggested this topic? It's actually a really good topic.
That would be that boy, wherever I'm pointing.
Oh,
I don't know where you are.
This guy right here.
nice.
Well, I was over at Rolando's, and he was showing me all the beers that he got from Europe, and I was just kind of like, for one, I was amazed that there were like the 16-ounce cans, like the tall cans, so they all had that like paper kind of label on them, but they were different types of paper. So some of them were like a glossy, some of them were kind of like a matted color or kind of like a matted texture. And it just kind of got me thinking about like all the different type of can art that we see out here. Because I feel like that is like the new movement in craft beer is can art is like the way that you kind of grab somebody's attention. I mean, when I'm walking into the liquor store by my place, that's like one of the first things that I look at is just like, okay, well, like what's new, what kind of grabs my attention immediately. And so, I mean, Rolando had one of them that was the collaboration beer, and I think that was also why he grabbed it, aside from the person who said that it was Really cool. So yeah, that one
This
as
one.
well. Yeah, that was the one that looked awesome. Which one is that one, Rolando?
This one is the boundary cooperative between Mash Brown and Dead End. It is a oatmeal imperial oatmeal raspberry stout.
That sounds
Nice.
That sounds so good.
good. Sounds tasty.
Delicioso.
Looks good. Sounds good.
There's this one
It
that we were
is.
looking at too.
Oh, that's really cool. Looks like a face from
Um,
Avatar.
This is the Heist Brew Co. Ridgeside. It is a Hips Don't Lychee. That is the title. It's
So
an
great.
imperial mango and lychee sour.
What a good name.
Sounds like a
It's
name for a burger of the day on Bob's Burgers. That's what that name
Hips
reminds me
don't
of.
lie cheese.
Yeah, like a burger. Yeah.
This is an example
some
of
crazy
the
names.
glossy-ish type one that Mark's talking about.
Yeah. So I
Scarago.
figured, I don't know if we kind of want to go around and just throw out some names of some cool breweries who are making some good can art.
Clown shoes.
Clown shoes.
It's the obvious
That's one that I thought of. Yeah.
Absolutely.
McKellar.
McKellar. I like pizza ports.
Yeah, Pizza
I think
Port
they're
does
cool.
too.
Yeah. I mean, these are like, Southern California, the big ones. Modern Times has some pretty interesting stuff.
There's
And
some
most of
pretty
it is like, so like most of their, in-house brews are like, have that like kind of very simple, just straightforward, classic type font. But when they have the seasonal stuff or they're limited, they have some really interesting designs. Brewery West is one of my favorites. I think they also have some really interesting stuff because they tend to like have cutouts of like stickers, and so they're always kind of out there. I think the one that I might have showed you guys, it was called Spelt Yeah, and it was like a hazy IPA, and it had like a weird like Jesus character on it. That one was an interesting beer. So yeah, I mean, McKellar's another good one. They
I
always
like
have some weird designs.
Elysians. I think they're not like super out there, but they have cool art. Their October ones right now, the way they draw the pumpkins on them are really cool. I have one in my fridge, but I don't want to go run and get it. So.
What is it? There's
I
also
like-
the Space Tiger or whatever the Elysian.
Oh yeah, the
With the psychedelic
Space
tiger on
with
it.
the laser eyeballs.
Yeah.
It's like hop dust or something.
Hop
It was
dust
like a
where
little
it's like
hop.
smiling
yeah.
hop. Yeah.
And yeah, I like Belching Beaver too. I don't like the beer itself, but the Deftones collaborations that they've done, they have really cool can art. One's like Digital Bath, which is one of their songs, and it has like a digital like space kind of beaver going on. And then the Day of the Dead one that they did with Deftones, it's got like a skull of a beaver and stuff. But most of their can art is pretty cool, pretty interesting. They also have a what's it called? A milkshake IPA. And it's like I forget the full name of it. It's something to do with like a Spartan. And the can art for that's really cool too.
The one that the melon one that we had, Drew, that from the place Hop Nuts out here. That place has some pretty cool can art. That one was kind of, they had like weird faces on it and stuff.
It's like zombie faces or something.
Yeah, so they do some cool can art with theirs as well. And that's a local one here. Trying to think of. Oh,
Well, source
go.
crapped out. Nice.
We're back, we're back.
So, what were you saying about the hop nut, Alec?
Hop Nuts. I was just saying they do some pretty cool can art here. They get like weird faces, and Drew was saying like zombie faces on the one we drank. But
Okay.
Yeah.
that was it.
It's good that our voice chat service just cut out.
Yeah, might
That was,
start
you know,
looking into a new
odd.
one.
Yeah.
There's
another
a
day.
brewery that I like follow on Instagram called Collective Arts Brewing, and they highlight like different artists to kind of just experiment with some stuff, and they've got some pretty cool designs. Let me see if I can send this over to you, Alec, if you want to pull something up.
Yeah, where are you
But
gonna send
they
it?
always have some. Maybe I'll just put it here in Twitch. How's that?
Right there in the chat.
Right
Put
there
it in the chat.
Yeah.
Let's
In
look
the
at it.
chat.
Yeah, when you scroll down, they got some pretty interesting designs there.
Am I of legal drinking age?
Yeah, you gotta. If you're not of
You
legal
gotta sign your
drinking age,
life
you
away.
gotta
Yeah.
make sure you say no there.
Oh yeah.
I
there's some
hope you're
cool
of
art.
legal drinking
There's
age.
just a guy there. How do I make it? Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, that collective arts one is
Oh.
cool.
There you go. He's that guy.
Here we go. So I've got
This,
it
series.
on screen here.
Yeah, if you scroll
Maggie
down to the
Gagliardi
series-
stuff is cool too.
Where is it?
Mhm.
Down here. Series 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is some cool can art.
Oh, this one
And
looks
like you
cool.
said, like oh my god, that is creepy.
The blue stones.
The Ken one or whatever.
Dark one. The Ken mode.
Yeah. When I look at stuff, like if I go to the store, yeah, I look at the tasting notes and everything, but sometimes I just pick because the can looks cool.
Absolutely.
And by sometimes, most of the time.
Most of the time.
Most of the times, 60% of the time, every time.
It is
60% of
really
the time,
a
can art works every time.
it really is a good marketing ploy. Because
Yeah.
like visually, like if you can't taste it, like obviously your olfactory and your like your taste senses will kind of guide you for like what kind of food and drink you want, but you can't do that in a store. So like
If
getting you
only.
visually, oh yeah,
Well, they always say like what you eat with your eyes. Like they always talk about like presentation is so important.
Yeah.
It's like like part of that, like not only do you want like the beer in the glass to look nice, but like the can art on top of that. It's like it's always cool, especially when they're good.
yeah, especially because it just like
Especially when
draws
it's
your
good, yeah.
attention to it. Like when you go like, oh, that looks cool, then
Yeah.
like otherwise you may have overlooked it. Like it could be a really good beer
I'm gonna
that
go
you
grab
overlooked.
The beer, it's cool.
What?
Yeah. He said he's going to grab the beer. I know what you mean, though. Because, I mean, the amount of breweries that are out there, I mean, it's kind of hard to try all of them. And especially when it's like a new and upcoming brewery that is just releasing like a hazy IPA. I mean, maybe it might fall through the cracks, and it's like, I don't know if this is going to be any good, but they have some cool can art, so maybe it's worth a try, you know? Because that draw is pretty cool. Nice. That's awesome.
Coffee pumpkin, interesting.
That sounds interesting.
Pumpkino.
Pumpkin.
So I got it because it sounded
Yeah.
interesting,
PSL.
and then looking at it, I was like, this looks pretty cool. So
PSL beers.
PSL.
I'm
That'll,
so
that'll probably be
excited.
what we do next, right?
Hell yeah!
I think so.
Oktoberfest and
Pumpkin
beers.
spice beer.
So
Yeah.
We could do another month of pumpkin beers.
Yeah.
I will not survive that. That
Yeah, I
is-
don't think I will either.
a whole month.
I
of
didn't
pumpkin
survive it
beers.
last year.
It was.
I could do it.
Most
Like,
of,
some of
most
those
of them
beers were
weren't
really
very
bad.
good. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I still have
We
one
just
in my
gotta pick
fridge.
We had a
better
whole
beers.
segment
It's
about
probably
that.
better now.
We just gotta pick better
doubt-
beers.
Yeah. We know which ones you eliminate immediately. It's like, don't drink that one. That one was trash.
Yeah.
Didn't Elysian have one of the good ones last year?
Did we
I
have
don't
one
remember.
from them?
We Googled
There were
it.
so
I don't
many.
remember
I
either.
can't remember.
Most of the ones we had were from
Um,
East Coast breweries.
I'm gonna throw up another one on there on the Twitch chat.
Oh, it may have
Alvarado
been the-
Street Brewery is also another good source of some interesting art.
Did we have the Great Pumpkin Ale by Elysian?
Maybe that's the one.
I think that's what I was thinking.
Because I do see that one, and it's pretty highly rated.
Oh yeah, Alvarado. That one beer that we had at your place, Mark. The Scotch Ale.
Oh yeah.
That had some pretty cool can art.
That's right.
I'm gonna try and.
Although
post
the
that.
beer was weird.
I like the
wasn't
Norman
as great.
Rockwell one. There's a straight up Norman Rockwell cover on one. There's like a 80s tuxedo going on, 70s or 80s. There's like mullets. This
I
is
like
pretty
the
cool.
Oh, I love
Royal
this
on the
give
top right.
the give thanks.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
The Frank Lloyd Wright, or not Frank Lloyd Wright, Norman Rockwell.
They
Amigo.
they had
is
another
IPA.
release of their Biggie's Blueberry Brunch, but this one, their latest release has blackberry currants in it too, and that one just looks ridiculous. Like the beer itself too looks ridiculous. I don't know if you guys can see this
What's the percentage?
on my
Jeez. It's like blood.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Things
that's
intense.
crazy.
Super foamy too.
What kind of beer is that? Wild ale? Sour?
Goes.
Let me see here. It's a milkshake
Goes.
IPA.
Oh.
Interesting.
I haven't had good luck with milkshake IPAs the last couple months.
I don't think you have.
I've had a
No.
couple good ones. McKellar has a good one right now.
Well, the ones I had, see, ironically, the ones I had in London were were imported from the U.S.
So
Interesting.
you're like, I could.
California is the one. California does a lot of milkshake IPAs. Not all of them are good.
Don't do them quite as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I forgot to switch off that screen, but we're back.
Cool. Any other cool ones? Anyone?
All of the Game of Thrones ones were pretty cool. I like because they were shiny and just different, but
Pretty. Yeah. It's cool that they incorporated like the actual houses and things. I mean, those are like the iconic things that you look for in Game of Thrones for sure. So.
I'm looking for Harry Potter beers
Cool.
now.
Butterbeer.
But
Yeah, butter-
butterbeer,
Butter-
yeah.
Have you had butter?
Butter.
As an aside, have you had the butterbeer at Universal Studios?
No, I haven't been able to go
Oh my
yet.
gosh, it's so sweet.
Really?
Ugh,
That's
man.
Straight
Ugh.
sugar.
Oh
Is it
my
like
gosh.
cream soda and then like extra sugar or something?
The extra butterscotch. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. ugh.
I'm gonna have
That
to
sounds
try
nasty.
it. I'm gonna have to try it.
We tried it last year, and like it
We're
was-
trying it.
Like you have to try it. We
Yeah.
had it on. It was
It's
like
not
a
alcoholic, right?
frosty. It was a frosty on
Oh.
tap thing. So that was
Mm.
cool. The taste was not.
Not cool.
Unless you're a child, I guess. But
Is it? It's not alcoholic, right?
no, they can't do that.
All right.
Maybe
So,
maybe put some
They
vodka
cannot,
in
no.
there.
I just posted another link to an Instagram account that we follow. So shout outs to Intellectual Pooperty. They always have some really
Shout out.
interesting stuff on here.
I'm
Shout out
digging
for that
this one
name.
right here. The one where it's
Pop
green
Tart.
mosaic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Dayman IPA if you go further, a little bit further down.
Pickle Dan.
SpongeBob.
Where is it? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
SpongeBob Bikini Bottoms. There's Skittles.
Excite Bike.
They always
Yeah.
have some really interesting stuff on there.
Oh my gosh!
Cool.
Is this
Fucking
Lack to the Future? Hang on, I gotta click this. Lacto the Future.
fucking. Who's the
High
purple purple guy from McDonald's? The purple
Grimace?
Grimace.
Grimace.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
that thing
yeah.
is fucking
He's
creepy.
So frightening.
Pulp Fiction. Oh my god.
Oh, there's Hey
This
Arnold.
is sick. This
These
is
are
sick.
really good.
Yeah.
Oh, this is.
Unfortunate. I will say the one thing about this though, and like the unfortunate thing that the vape industry is running into right now, like they're branding vape juice kind of like this, and it's like attractive to children because like you see like things like Skittles and High C,
Lucky Charms and stuff.
Lucky
yeah, I've seen-
Charms, Fruit Loops and stuff, and so they're getting in trouble because like kids see that and it's like I want to eat that, and they like eat it
I want
and
to
die.
smoke. Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what
Not
kids also
good.
want to eat? Tide Pods. So
That's also true. It's just it's funny. It's like the running joke in a lot of these communities is like is that kids are like stupid, so they ruin everything for everybody else. Let's eat soap. Let's eat laundry detergent.
Let's
It's a
do it.
delicacy.
It
The
is.
forbidden fruit.
forbidden snacks, dude.
Oh my god.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, that's can art. Yeah, it's a cool topic. Maybe we'll revisit it like in 6 months or so and see like any of the new stuff that we've kind of seen out there. Because yeah, like we talked about, good can art doesn't necessarily always mean good beer, but
True.
it does leave a good first impression.
Mississippi
So
mud.
that's
A lot of
Yeah.
these like play on pop culture reference stuff is getting like increasingly popular now.
Yeah.
So it's always kind of funny to see what how people can be creative with it.
yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Very cool. So that's beer, our beer topic for today. Let's jump into some anime. So we got the new fall season, and some stuff is out, some stuff isn't. Our main show that I think everybody watched this week that we wanted to talk about is, was it one of the shows? Yeah, it was one of the shows that I had previewed last week. So it's
this was
Oriwo
me and you,
Suki.
actually.
Me, what's that?
Me and you
Both
are
of
the only
us?
ones that chose this.
Yeah, yeah. But it ended up being, I think most of us liked it here. But let me introduce the show. Orewo Suki Nano wa Omae Dake Kayo. Rolando, what is like the rough translation that you said last week?
I put it in there.
Oh, I just can't. I just can't read.
You should have just said it and been like, oh, it actually just translates to.
Are you the only one who likes me? And so it makes sense for kind of what we had introduced in the show. Basically, main character thinks that his childhood friend and his older senpai like him. They don't. They like his best friend. And the girl that he doesn't really like ends up liking him. So we got.
Rolando picking up that.
Be careful with that.
It's like it looks it's so much beer.
It's awesome, though.
Oh man, that's dope. Yeah.
I'm jealous, actually.
Yeah, I want that right now too. I have a Stein, but not like that. There's a Hofbräu here in Vegas, and I almost went there. Like when you were talking about it, I was like, I'm gonna go buy one, and then
Let's
I found
go.
out you can buy them online. But yeah, let's go. See
I
how
want to
it
go.
compares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like Rolando said, both him and I had chosen it previously. But for like Alec and Mark, what were like some after like we previewed it, we talked about it. What were some like what were you thinking like going into it? Like, is this a show I don't normally watch? Is it gonna be weird? You know, all that stuff.
I was like over the show like 10 minutes in. I was like, is this really just going to be like this? Like I knew it was going to happen, mainly because of like we read the synopsis and stuff. But like I was like still kind of like laughing. Like it was still kind of funny, just the ridiculousness of it. But towards the end, like as soon as his like mood like changes, sorry, spoiler alerts. But like as soon as his personality changed, I was like, yes, like all right, I'm in it. This is great. Yeah, it totally caught me off guard.
For me, I was thinking, oh god, is this a harem? But then it kind of switched to I like your friend. And because I didn't read the synopsis, I don't think I was here. I wasn't here when you guys did that episode.
You weren't here.
So I was like, I don't know what this is about, but I'm going to watch it because it's one of our shows. And I was like, this is pretty funny. I loved every time he got duped or whatever by one of them. He was just like, oh my God.
That was the best. The fucking English.
Oh my God. Yeah, he's like, oh my God. Yeah,
I've been watching My
I was
Hero
dying.
Academia, and Deku is voiced by the main character,
Yeah.
and so like I was like hearing both of them at the same time, and it was pretty funny for me.
But so far, it's like a show that I didn't expect to like, because I kind of saw it like, oh, this might be a harem. That's not really my cup of tea, but I really enjoyed it. So I'm definitely gonna keep watching it and see how it goes. But if it's like episode 1, I think it's really funny. And then the way it ends is just dope, where he turns into this jackass, and he's like, I hate you, fucking die. Just yeah, good stuff.
You'd be surprised to know that I liked it even before that angle. But this is the kind of show that I like. I don't know. I thought it was kind of good throughout, and then you throw in like this extra persona at the end, and you're just like, this is gonna be sick. He's gonna like, and it started to come out a little bit after he gets rejected by both girls, because you can see it like happening. And once that starts happening, I started thinking, it's like, is he gonna like flip a switch or something? And what really like triggered it for me was when I forget her name,
Emergence.
Which emergence?
the childhood friend character. She like
her nickname is Himawari.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're this person today. I'm like, oh, is he gonna have like 2 personalities and one's gonna be like absolutely ridiculous? And it's like, it turns out that's what it's gonna be. So
Well, she has to know, because she's his childhood friend, so she has to know that his personality is like two-faced.
yeah.
Doesn't always like that.
And then, like, on top of it, the love interest in the library, like, has the book Jekyll and Hyde, like, on her as she's, like, speaking with him. It's like, I want to talk to this guy. And he's like, bitch.
I thought it was a reference to her, and I was like, why?
That's what I was kind of leaning that way, too, yeah.
Like, I thought she was going to, like, be that person that was going to change, and then he was going to kind of come to realize it. Like, that's where I thought it was heading. But you're right, though, like...
Is that your
it didn't
preconception
quite-
from Emergence?
Yes. I thought that was like a little like plot, just an indicator of how that she was gonna change. Um, but no, I think I think it was done well because I wasn't quite expecting him to be that person.
Rolando, you brought up a cool like fun fact about it. Did you want to like kind of go in and explain like the nicknames and kind of what they mean in relation to the main character?
Yeah, so well, they kind of hint at it with the promo art because the main character, his nickname is Joro, and in Japanese that's like the word for a watering can, and he's holding like a thing, and then it has like a little icon of a little watering can in there, and then the names are very like I guess flower related. So it's like the best friend's name. His actual name is Taiyo, which is the word for sun. So they call him Sun-chan. And then the childhood friend, her name is Himawari. Her nickname is Himawari, and that's the word for sunflower in Japanese. The senpai, they call her Cosmos, but her actual name is Sakura, which obviously is like a cherry blossom. And then the nickname for the glasses girl, the sadist girl, she's her nickname is Pansy, which is also a flower. So there's just like this kind of like he's like a watering can,
So we have all these flowers, and he gets them all wet.
Well, and
Yes.
the sun, but
And
the sun
is
makes them grow
dries
big
them
and
out.
strong.
Yeah. So there's just like that kind of gardening theme. I don't know, like plant theme. It's an interesting thing that they did with the names that I was like, wait, because like I wasn't really sure what was going on, but then like partway through the episode, and then like Pansy comes on, I'm like, huh, these are all like flower related names. So yeah.
So.
I didn't. It was just kind of interesting that wasn't something that quite like clicked with me until after you posted it. I was like,
Yeah,
this is very
it seems
creative.
they decided to throw in random stuff. So it's like that's I guess that's the weird loss in translation stuff that we don't get, because otherwise you'd have a bunch of TL notes in the subs.
You're bobbing up on screen.
Yeah.
By the way, so let's get into just some like general questions about the episode. I think it's safe to say like everyone kind of likes the main character. Is anyone kind of opposed to that? It's all kind of goofy, how he changes. I think that's going to be the most interesting thing about the show that makes it not so generic. But anything else to say about the main character that anybody liked or disliked?
Mark
I think that
did the best description of it, like, because I felt the exact same way.
Yeah, I think after that change and like once he was like getting super impatient with them, like towards the end of the episode, I liked his character at that point because he's just like, God, these people are just so clueless. He's like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I liked that part of like his character. So I hope it's not more. Well, I guess I hope that there's like a good balance between like this like really like passionate like he's like being like super like fake nice, and then his kind of asshole character.
One thing I will say is, so I ended up binging what's available of the manga after watching the first episode. They definitely show his asshole side like within the first few pages in the manga. So
Nice.
I like the way they adapted it is different, because the way the first episode goes isn't like even remotely close to how it goes in the manga. So but I do think the way they showed it in this first episode was a good way of kind of showing the two sides. So while I almost dropped it because of how generic it was at the start, I'm glad I kept watching, because that is what pulled me into the show afterwards. So there's like a give and take, like how they go about it, but I thought it was a pretty good execution if you look at it storytelling wise, because it's like, why are they gonna waste like such a huge shift that's kind of like a way to draw you in, and just like show it to you immediately. It's like it's cool that they like portray him as this character that changes.
Yeah, I like that. I like that it happened, not like immediately, but it happened quick enough to kind of keep my interest in it.
Yeah,
So I enjoyed
because
it.
they did hint it. Like it's
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
just wait, did you just?
Called her
Yeah.
a bitch. Like,
Yeah, straight up.
What did he call the cosmos? I can't remember. That one was funny too.
I don't remember.
I don't
It wasn't straight up like bitch though.
You bitch. I also liked the faces they made when the girls had like kept screwing up their lines, and his like side eye anger purple face. That was pretty funny. I like the show. It's good. I'll keep
Yeah.
watching it.
Couple other follow questions here. Is it too
he's
soon to?
Lost.
There he goes. He's in the
Oh, where
abyss.
is he?
He's in the abyss. Come to the
Oh
light.
my god!
Oh no,
Oh no!
Sun-chan, he's gone.
Oh no. I know. So while he figures that out, I know this next question. It's like we've talked about this before, but I think it might be too soon to pick. But any thoughts on like best girls so far, or
You always say
anything
that.
like that?
It's
You always
always
wanna
you have
know
to
our-
go with your
our
gut,
best girl.
your gut impression. What is your gut impression?
I'm back.
It's hard. It's you don't know them.
I
you
know, but
long
like,
enough.
are you saying that you can't have first impressions on a person?
I mean, you all know who I'm gonna pick.
Who?
Like you know, like
who?
my initial gut impression is like you could all just like count
How's it-
down 3,
So
2,
then
1, and
say
then
it.
say it.
So then say it. You say it.
No, I want
3, 2, 1,
you guys
say
to say
it.
because I know that you guys are gonna know.
It's
So
Pansy.
That's right.
The, yeah,
It's
the-
Pansy.
the
I don't know, like,
the library girl, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what you guys think, Alec, Mark.
That's who I would be. That's who I would be leaning towards.
I was gonna say Sun-chan.
Oh, the best friend?
Oh,
the best
BL
friend.
route.
Would be his,
The BL
would be
route,
his
nice.
favorite.
You get a, you do
said the
Amazon
BL
order
right.
a bench. You order a bench on Amazon.
Order the bench real fast.
I'm
It'll be
surprised
here.
at how fast it could get here.
One day delivery.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
man.
don't know. I'm kind of with you guys on Pansy from like after that was my gut impression from the first episode because I just thought that the other two girls were just boring. I'm just like, man, how generic can you get with these two?
Well, we
characters?
talked about tropes last week, or was it the week before? Whenever we talked about them, but it's like we got one trope right out of it, and she is to the T what you would expect, except she's not going for the main character, or at least the character that we're following.
Yeah, the childhood friend is too energetic and it's kind of like, and
Yeah,
then the design.
Not my type.
I don't know, like the design on the student council president is like, you know, okay, but I was just like, man, like how boring can you be like as a character?
Yeah. Yep.
Any series or any expectations for the series? Like, and kind of to tie it in with this, you know, how do you think the series is gonna do? Are we gonna go 3 and out? Are we going the distance? For me, I enjoy it. This is a show that's like right down my alley, so I kind of want to know what y'all think of it.
I think initially I was gonna give it 3 episodes. I'll probably stick this one out. I mean, I think it'll be enjoyable. Because I also thought this would be like one of those shows where we kind of talk about just like turning your brain off, and it's just gonna be like a whatever watching. But I think this is gonna be entertaining. I think.
What I will say to that though is like be careful because these shows can like start off okay and then
True.
just like drop off a cliff. So while I do like these, they have a tendency to be really good for a little bit and then just eat it and you're just like, why am I watching this again? But
I plan to see how it goes because this isn't normally something I watch. I guess.
I'm gonna abstain because I know too much now.
okay.
He knows.
I know
He
too much now,
knows.
so
I
I
was
won't.
thinking I
will not
might like
say.
reading it. It seems like something that would be kind of fun to read, but I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You
It's
kinda go at your
definitely
own pace
gonna
type of thing.
it's definitely gonna be interesting enough past 3 episodes. I will give you that.
Cool.
All right.
Very cool.
Nice.
So we get my generic show, but like the generic show that I like, but like with a maybe
But a little
twist,
bit
maybe.
twist.
A little twistarino.
Keep
I don't
you
know,
keep
we-
you
Little twist
keep
on
you
the top.
We
engaged.
we haven't really covered a show that was like on this scope, because I mean I know we did cover Gotobun, but that show just fucking dropped off a cliff midway through the season, but like since
Yeah.
Gamers, I think.
Gamers, I was gonna say that.
So like one
a
that's
while.
like on this level of like the kind of weird antics and comedy.
Yeah. Be a
Talked
good
about
one.
Hinamatsuri.
Yeah.
That was pretty out there, but that wasn't like a regular thing that we discussed. It was just a funny show that we would come back to.
Cool. Well, I'm excited for this one, and we'll kind of see where it goes. May or may not be talking about it going forward, but at least 3 for most of us, I think. Let's go back to the beer. As you can see, for me, mine is like at the very bottom.
I was trying to slow down a little bit.
I already finished
Yeah.
one technically.
Yeah, there you
Tactical,
go.
man.
Third way through this thing.
And it's still frosty. You can see the condensation going, so that's important. But I know we talked about it a little bit before, but I guess we can kind of go through and give like our overall impressions of the beer. For me, and I talked about it when we brought it up a couple weeks ago, but the Oktoberfest that they had last year was like just so good that I think it like made my expectations for this beer like way higher than I think they probably should have been, because like now that I've had a few more of them, like this will be the last one in the 6-pack that I got. It kind of grew on me. It's like I like it a lot better than I did when I took the first sip. But it still for me does not live up to the like how good the one like last year I just wanted to go buy cases of this to stockpile it. This year I'll probably drink
Yeah.
these 6 and be done with that. It's good though.
Rwanda.
I mean, I have a 12 pack of this, so I just assumed it would be good because of how good the Wine Spawner collab was last year. But I don't think this is a bad beer. I just think, like Drew said, it's not as good as last year's, and that's kind of clouding the judgment.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a good beer. It definitely has the Bitburger malty and hop flavor profile that you kind of expect from them. But I don't know, there's just kind of a very generic taste to it, like other than like the Bitburger kind of flavor to it. Like it just, I don't know, it's generic, not in the good sense. Like it just seems like it's a fest style like Meritzen beer, whereas last year's was like, oh wow, this is like very classic, but like classic in a good way. Like it didn't
was
feel like
a-
classic generic. It just felt like, wow, this is a style Meritzen. So yeah.
I think this one for me too, it's like the biggest issue I have with it, it doesn't finish well. It leaves you with this like artificial, not good, like bitter, malty, finish that kind of coats my mouth, and I think that's the biggest issue I have with it, because when you first take a sip of it, it's good, it's refreshing, but it just finishes like so awfully. It's like generic and artificial and like not good tasting maltiness, at least for me. And not to say that it's like undrinkable, because it definitely is. It's like decent to be, but compared to last year, oof.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I like the maltiness of it, but the bitterness that it gets at the finish is not. I mean, like it sits there for a while, and I obviously don't like that. So it's not nearly as good as last year's for me, either. It's not bad, but I guess Rolando, your description's really good. It's like generic. It's generic with a little bitterness for me. So I'd rather have a different beer, but I'd still. Like, I have 6, and I'm going to drink all 6 and not wish I didn't buy 6 or whatever.
But at the end of the day, it's like I know for me, I'm not buying 6 more probably.
I'm not gonna buy another. Yeah, not like I mean last year. So yeah, so this is the first time I'm having it, and I do agree. Last year's had like a very complex, like a very good flavor. It was standout. It was not quite like other Oktoberfest beers because I mean I feel like most other Oktoberfest beers taste like this. Like it's just like a very standard flavor profile. You have this caramel malt. You have really good like yeast, and then kind of finishes a little bit bready, and this just tastes, you know, like most other October, like most other fest beers that you have. I mean, it's very good. Like like don't get me wrong, it's still enjoyable. It's still very drinkable, and I think that might be where the problem lies. That it's like too drinkable. Like I feel like I can just kind of just drink a couple of these and then just be like, all right, that was a good beer. That was a time. As opposed to like last year with the wine Stefaner, it was like you have one of them and you're like, man, that was a good experience. Like
Give me
I need
another.
more of this. I need more.
Super drinkable and just like super refreshing and just super good. So
yeah.
sad.
I mean, it's still a good beer. I'm gonna enjoy this 6-pack, but I agree with you guys. I don't know if I'll buy another one.
The way I kind of want to describe this now is if I had one of those steins that you have there, Rolando, and I was just at a festival or whatever.
Two hands.
This would be a beer that I don't go up to a place asking for specifically, but I'm just sort of just like, fill this up with the thing that you have, whatever it may be. I don't
because
really
it's the
care.
cheapest one, probably.
Yeah, probably.
It's like it's the cheapest one, and
Indeed,
like
time.
you can get drunk for cheap, and it's not like it's not detestable.
Yeah, it's not like drinking, Coors.
You'll enjoy getting drunk. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah. But
I
I'm
think
not
that's
going
the
to
one
last
plus.
year's Sierra Nevada like, give me this. I need that one there.
That's the plus about this beer. Like it's one that you can enjoy like during Oktoberfest and like have multiple.
Yeah. True.
Well, should we rate this guy? Who wants to start? Alec? No, let's do Mark since your first
His,
impression.
yeah, we're spoiled by having
Yeah.
had this
Oof.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll probably give this like a 3.5. I feel like that's like a good standard. I mean, it's good. It's enjoyable. I think it's it passes, I should say. So,
Yeah.
It passes.
Yeah.
Alec,
Is that
what do you
passing?
think?
Is that passing? 3.75 is technically
It's
passing.
like-
Yeah, that's a
3.5?
7.5,
Is it
75. Yeah.
or C? I don't know. I was gonna give it a 3.5 or a 3.25. So I'll go 3.5. I'll be nice because we do have that
Orlando.
plus. You could drink it.
3.5. Good,
go.
but
And
not amazing.
And I am going to do a 3. The mouthfeel, man. Just no bueno.
He doesn't like the mouthfeel.
Doesn't like how it feels in his mouth.
Not a fan. What I am actually going to do, though, is while we go into our next segment, which is news, I'm going to go grab a different type of fest beer because I am empty. So somebody jump into this news. I
I'm gonna
will
go
grab
grab
that
it.
and
All
we'll
right.
do that. So I'm going to leave it to you then, Rolando. But
Rolando, news
talking about-
guy.
Are you
we're
getting a
going
beer
Emma-
too, Alec? Is that what's going on?
No, are we just taking a beer break? I still have some of mine left, and then I figured I would just drink
Rolando's
this
got-
after.
I've got two
Rolando's got
beers.
two
I've got
beers.
two beers
He's
left.
we gotta keep up.
Rolando, let's just go talk about news. Let
right.
them go get a beer.
Let
We'll talk
these
about
guys-
news.
Reconvene.
All right. So first up on our news. So
We're getting some
The-
audio glitches, by the way. It's going like. I've been trying to fix it, but it might be something. We
is
can
that
take
what
over.
you're hearing?
Yeah, only I'm hearing it, and stream is hearing it.
Oh. What are you hearing?
It's just kind of like in the middle of people talking, it'll go like a electric noise.
Are you sure it's just not the noise from Drew's place? Because I have a noise gate on, and whenever he talks, the noise will come in when he talks.
It's happened with you and Mark too, and
Okay.
it's only sometimes. But so I don't really know what's happening. I've tried to I don't know. I've lowered the gain on stream so it's not obnoxiously loud though.
All right. Give me a second. Let me listen to what I'm sending to you. So, 1 second.
Since we're pausing here.
We're not pausing. We're still going.
Yeah, we're going.
We're still
this is
going.
just part
Huh?
of the news. But it's
This is
only
part of news.
occasionally. It hasn't happened right now, so I don't know what it is. But yeah, it might
Anybody
be
want to see Russ go?
I think it's just I'm listening to it, and it's just the noise, the background noise from all of our locations coming in from the noise gate.
I don't know. It's really loud. It's like a electric, not like
Okay.
the
Like
noise.
I just listened to what I'm sending you, and it's not. I'm not hearing that.
Yeah, it didn't happen. I don't know. When you listen back to it later, I'll go listen and find a spot and tell you.
All right. Well, I mean,
Yeah, it just happened right there.
I did not hear that, and I'm listening to it right now.
Okay, then I don't know what
So
it is.
it might just be a weird glitch that's happening between me and you and Source.
A glitch in the Matrix, would you say?
I might reset source.
Okay. Do you want to leave that and come back to it?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. It wouldn't be a stream if we didn't have technical difficulties. All right, I'm back. So maybe it was
Alright.
from when it had that random reset and
Maybe.
it broke.
Yeah.
All right.
We need a new
Alright.
voice
Yeah.
audio program.
Well, while you were doing that, I got the Weinstefana Fest beer.
Nice.
So-
I have one
Nice.
of those in my fridge
And
too.
what you will also notice about it, it is a much different color than what we were currently having, as you can see by Rolando and Alec. It is more straw, pale color, and is very clear.
Golden straw.
So bottoms up.
What does Mark have?
I got another Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Oh, he's keeping up.
I got 5 more of these, or 4 more of these. Excuse me.
Should I?
So the
obtain
reason.
Go obtain another beer. Everyone else did.
I gotta keep.
So the reason why I like this better is because it does not have the malt to the other, and you can immediately tell that just by looking at it. You are not going to get a very malty beer that is this color. The drinkability on this is far superior. It tastes more similar to the Sierra Nevada that we had last year, although that one definitely had more malt than this. But this is a good sessionable fest beer that I wouldn't mind having in a giant stein that Rolando has. But yeah, very, very good from Zivine Stefana.
Very good, huh?
Very good.
All right. Well, Alex gone. Do you want to start on that news?
Let's do it, yeah. I don't think I have anything in here, so whoever wants to jump in for our first one, go for it.
Okay, so the queen of Tsundere, Rie Kugimiya, will make her first ever USA appearance at Anime NYC on November 17th, 2019. So tickets will go on sale for the autograph signing event on October 6th, which was today. So if you are interested in seeing Rie Kugimiya at Anime NYC and you are in the New York area, stop by the Javits Center over there and go see what's up. This next one, so
This one super feels good, man.
KyoAni has decided to use all of the money it has received in donations and including government support from both in Japan and across the world, only for the victims, like the bereaved families and the victims of the arson attack. None of it is gonna go towards the studio and like rebuilding everything, because they want to use that as part of their fight back against this this crime. Although this is like the one bright spot in like the sad truth that the death toll is still growing as like another critically injured victim passed away this past weekend.
Yeah. That's crazy, but good for them.
That's
really
not
impressive.
on my end. That's Mark.
What is
Sorry.
that? I hear that.
I bumped into something. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm like, that isn't me this time. I swear.
Sorry.
Everyone heard
bumped
that
into
one.
my cable. Sorry, I was saying, good on them though. I think that's amazing that they're willing to give, so much to the families and the victims of the fire. I think that's amazing. So
Absolutely.
that makes my heart happy.
So
Yeah.
So
And another like quick thing I forgot to add on here, but I just read it, is that the KyoAni physical store will not be opening. So they closed it down just because I think they had so many people going in and they just weren't able to keep up with keeping it open. After the attacks, so they're
All their
closing it
stock is
down
gone.
until early next year. No, I think it was just that they wanted to kind of divert like their businesses towards rebuilding and stuff, rather than holding a store.
Yep.
To try to like make money. You can still buy stuff online from like their online stores. I think that's still available. Not so much for people here in the West. You have to go through like third-party channels to do that. But I think that their physical store in Japan is going to be closed for till like I think the beginning of next year. Yep.
Right.
Makes sense.
Next.
I got this.
So I put this in there. So, another Vine Stefaner.
Or I was gonna ask you
Alright.
guys, should I do that or the pumpkin ale?
I mean, that's up to you.
No,
You're the one drinking.
pumpkins are next week. Save your
They're next
pumpkins.
week.
All right,
But I have
pumpkins
two.
are next week.
I have two.
Well,
All right.
We gotta see what
maybe
I
we'll
can
pick
grab.
one of them.
We'll pick
Yeah.
one. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay, so next bit of news here. The film Weathering You has sold over 10 million tickets in Japan. So this is Makoto Shinkai's latest film. It's been in theaters for over 75 days, has earned over 13 billion yen, or roughly 120 million US. Film opened to July 19th. It's currently the 7th highest grossing film in Japan of all time.
Oh my God. Really?
That's
What
pretty
are the other
crazy.
6?
Yeah, that's what
I don't know. I think
Mark.
Lord of the
I-
Rings.
Avatar? I don't know.
Inception.
Inception.
I'm still getting the
Step
sound.
Brothers. I don't know.
I'm not hearing the sound that you're talking about.
I don't know.
So I
what it
don't.
is. It's just
I don't know
something
what's
this
going on.
stream that we're
It's
having.
in his. It's in his.
It's something
brain.
in your-
David said he's heard it.
Your brain.
Um,
yes.
David heard it, so it's in his brain too.
David's hearing sounds in your brain too. I don't know.
Like I'm
My
listening to
brain
what I'm sending you, and I'm
trembles.
not hearing it. So
Yeah, it's probably something between us or in my computer.
yeah.
My
I can't restart
brain
now, so.
trembles.
Des.
I want to say Spirited Away is probably up there.
Probably.
That's number 1. Yeah, Spirited Away, Titanic, Frozen.
Figured it'd be
Your
tough.
Name, I think, because Your Name has been out for a couple years.
Harry Potter.
Harry
Well, I mean,
Potter.
it's not going to keep. These films aren't going to keep grossing. They're not in theaters. anymore.
Exactly.
So
Right. Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke. So yeah, it's pretty crazy that it's only been out for a couple months, and it's made so much already. So I'm very excited to see it. So it will get a U.S. release. G Kids licensed the film, so it's gonna get its release in early 2020.
Nice.
No, that means it's
We
gonna-
gotta go
that means it's eligible to
for the awards.
for the Academy Awards.
Yes, actually. So they did submit it as an international film, and I believe that when it played here at the Toronto Film, or it played like in the Toronto Film Fest, I think they also are using that as kind of like a push to get it into the Academy Awards. So
Cool.
hopefully the people who judge and vote for that actually go out and watch it, and it gets the recognition that it deserves.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Next.
So we got one more piece.
Next bit of news on here. So Disney's currently working with Viz Media to release a Star Wars Legend of Luke Skywalker manga. Viz Media also announced at the New York Comic Con that they're working on a Frozen 2 book. Those will both be available in early 2020. So that's interesting. So they've done a couple other ones too as well, I think, recently. I don't know how popular they were, but I mean, like, these big names like Nightmare Before Christmas, Stitch, Finding Nemo, and Tangled. I don't ever remember seeing anything about like these, projects having like a manga or anything.
No.
But to have a Star Wars manga would be pretty cool because there's like a lot of extended universe stuff that I think would look really cool in like manga form.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking forward to that, especially like if this Legends of Luke Skywalker thing does well. I think that would be cool to see more of that.
That reminds me that this is a totally different side note, not anime related whatsoever, but it was 3D animation. But I remember in high school, when we were in high school, that's when Star Wars: The Clone Wars was showing, and like that would always be on like early in the morning before I would leave for school. So like eat breakfast. It's like, oh, Star Wars: The Clone Wars is on. Let me watch that while I eat.
Yeah, those are good shows. Like that, I think. What's the one that's currently airing? Is like Rebels or?
I think Rebels.
Rebels, yeah.
I don't remember. And that one's also doing well. It's in its like 4th season or something.
People love those Star Wars animated series. Yeah,
Clone Wars
It's
was
cool.
dope.
I mean, it's an extension of like the movies that we get, and they're also like really interesting stories. And they always bring in these characters that you want to know more about, but you don't get to see more of in the movies. So yeah, I could see it doing really well.
George Lucas,
especially if they have a compelling storyline. George Lucas, man. Disney, man. The Disney overlords.
Well, George Lucas doesn't have a say in anything now, so.
In the
I know, right?
He did, though, didn't he?
He's got mountains of money though.
Yeah, he's
doesn't
crying
care
over his
anymore.
mountains of money that Disney isn't following his exact storyline.
Wiping his tears with dollar
Wiping his
bills.
tears with
Oh,
fucking
man.
$100
Oh,
bills.
excuse me. Let me bring
This sucks. Oh, I hate my life.
this. These $50 bills are so scratchy on my nose.
Did you guys read the article that was like released the other week where he was talking about how he was disappointed that Disney didn't choose to take the new trilogy the way he wanted to?
It wouldn't surprise me that he would be upset about that because he has a huge ego. But
the way he wanted it to go was that the new trilogy was gonna go towards going into like a micro like biological world.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Like microscopic?
Yeah, microscopic.
Oh, nice.
Like Rick and Morty, like we're in the microverse.
And that they're like the force and everything is actually the universe is being like controlled by like this micro world.
Oh, dude, midichlorians are controlling.
Yeah, the
this
midichlorians.
all.
That's what it is. Yeah.
The
So
midichlorians.
Holy
Basically, yeah. The what is that? The what's that YouTube channel where the midichlorians, where the guy he just splooges all over the universe and he creates the force? or
yeah,
whatever?
no. Yeah, you're talking about Red Letter Media.
Yeah, Red Letter Media. Oh man,
No, but
that video is
that's
so funny.
That's part of the Star Wars canon. Like that's
Yeah.
part of the Star Wars
Yeah.
canon because that's in the books and like like mentions it in one of the books. Like it's just fucking weird. But I mean, hey, that's how Anakin was conceived,
Yeah.
right? So
Midichlorians through the universe.
I don't know how we got into Star Wars
I don't know.
talk, but
Well, what we would do next is jump into a new game that we created. However, someone who shall not be named wasn't ready this week, so we'll push that to next week. So
he's at his parents' place, right? Don't give him
Wait.
shit.
I was not ready. I'm at my
Give him a
parents'
break.
Yeah.
I didn't write my segment.
Also, Alec didn't send his segment.
I'm
over,
packing,
so.
okay? It's a hard week.
This is
I moved
this
Friday,
is gonna be
Saturday.
a good one though. I'm excited for this
Yeah,
one. I
it's
was a
gonna
little
be fun.
unsure after hearing it, but it's gonna be a good times.
yeah. So I guess we'll tease it. We'll tease it for loyal listeners here. We're gonna be doing a game called Waifu Wars. I won't get into what the rules are or anything, but look forward to that next week.
Could be a recurring game.
Waifu next week as well.
Could be a recurring game depending on how well it goes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, what we're gonna do is you three have now finished Demon Slayer. What are your overall impressions of the show now that it is completed for at least this season?
I guess I'll start.
Sorry,
I guess. So Demon Slayer finished up technically last week, but Alec wasn't here. So we didn't really. I figured it would be good to have all three of us who watched it. I don't know. Did you finish it? Were you watching it, Drew? Sorry.
No. So I'm going to watch it once I finish, or once I catch up with My Hero. I've been steadily working my way through that because the new season is airing, and so I'll pick up Demon Slayer after that for my backlog show.
Okay, cool. So we'll try not to go into spoiler territory then. So. But overall, I enjoyed this series. I think this is going to be a highlight of the year. Absolutely. This is going to probably win a couple of Crunchyroll awards. Because you know.
It's going to win a bunch of Crunchyroll awards.
How coveted those awards are, man. That's Paramount anime. Just how good it is. Oh, is that me?
I thought it was me for a second.
What? Sorry.
He's transforming. He's transforming.
Paramount.
The midichlorians are taking
heard
over.
Are impregnating Mark with the Force. He's about to have Luke Skywalker.
Oh no. Oh no, not like this.
Oh my god.
Not like this.
Oh no.
Sorry, y'all. I'm hitting stuff over here. Yeah, this has been a really good show. I was totally on board after the first couple episodes. I thought it was a lot of fun, and throughout the season, it's been a great show. It's got a lot of really good elements to it. Action's amazing, animation is incredible. It's really well done. Music, the story, the plot line. Yeah, I think this is going to be the highlight of the year for me.
Definitely really good show. I agree. I think after the first few episodes, it just hooks you. It reminds me a lot of how hooked I got to like My Hero when I first started watching that. Just the story was good, the action was good, the characters, I liked the characters. The ending of the series, this so far was pretty slow, which was a little bit of a bummer.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wish the ending was a little different because it just went into like training, and then they're like on the train. They're like, "Look, we're gonna fight someone." Sorry, that's it. I'm like, okay, well, I wish you'd given me a little different ending, but otherwise it was really good.
Yeah. The last episode was just setting up everything that's gonna come up.
A movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they should have given it like another like 10 or something, to go to like a full like 36.
He broke.
I think that would have been a good idea, or at least it probably would have like wrapped up that next arc.
Have you read this next arc?
I haven't. No, I actually am considering it. I probably will.
Because you're like, oh fuck, I want to know.
I'm gonna go read it now because I need more. No, I was trying to find it the other day, and I was like, ah fuck, and then I fell asleep. But I want to go find it because I'm like, I'm just gonna read it. I'm gonna read it from start to however far I can get.
Yeah, I mean, you guys kept talking about it. I kept seeing like GIFs and like stuff on the show, but like it wasn't until I started watching it where I was like, oh man, like this is really good. This is like it's just a shonen show, but not like an annoying shonen show.
Yeah.
Like I would say so. Yeah, like this is, to me, it's a shonen show on the likes of like My Hero and like Seven Deadly Sins, where it's like I wasn't annoyed watching it. It wasn't like Naruto or Bleach where I'm like, fuck, like
Yeah.
getting
Just
annoyed.
Get
move
on with
along.
it.
Yeah,
like,
just get on with it.
I can get on with. I felt that way in the last few episodes, honestly. Like when the meeting with the Hashira, I was like, all right, let's get on with this.
That
It's
was a
taken far
funny
too
episode.
long. It was.
yeah, I
was-
like the
yeah.
meeting.
But then they had the next
training.
episode after that, and I was like,
Yeah.
this one is just like too
Yeah.
slow. If they had gone straight into the training and skipped that episode right after the meeting, fine. But like that's 3 episode span, I was like, come on, get on with it, just a little bit. I like.
Yeah, that's why I think
It
it's
was funny.
a little weird to end a season on like
On
a training arc.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you just kind of leaves you. I mean, I guess it's almost like a cliffhanger. Like it leaves you wanting more, but it's just such a weird way
Not
to end.
satisfying.
Yeah, it's not very satisfying conclusion to like a full 26 series. That's why I think if they had gone a couple more episodes, or at least fit in the movie into whatever how many episodes that would have been, I think that probably would have been a little bit better.
I agree.
But I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to this movie that's
yeah.
going to be coming out. So it should be coming out early 2020, I think is what it said. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
Also, it was
Uh,
fun
yeah.
yelling at all the Nezuko cosplayers at Anime Expo, going Nezuko. That was always fun.
Yeah, I think that the series as a whole, I think it's enjoyable for like what you said. It's a good shonen that has a lot of it has good character strengths, and it's like you always have these like you had strong characters that are yelling and constantly striving to be the best, but for some reason, Tanjiro just seems like he is one of those like down to earth characters that you actually like believe, because he has like a pretty compelling reason to want to do better, and he doesn't always, it doesn't always like
It's
work
not
out
always
that
better. Yeah.
he like stumbles like quite often, and I think that's why it's such a good ride so far. So yeah, looking forward to more.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Very cool.
Very good show.
Cool.
Keep a
Yeah,
lookout
I'm
in
looking forward to
our-
starting it.
Anime on Draft Podcast Awards. Where that might
Oh,
rank.
yeah.
Start
Not
thinking
just the
about that.
Crunchyroll Awards. You got to think about the AOD Podcast Awards.
Very important. Very important. All right. Next thing we wanted to jump into, I didn't see this on the script, so I'm gonna add it right here. Let's dive into it. Our Orishiri segment,
Cool.
Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, I added it
we
to the
vo-
show notes, but not to the actual script.
It's all good. It's all good. It's in there. It's in there now. And so Rolando, Mark, and I have seen it. Alec, this is your first time going into it, so I feel like you're gonna end up driving a lot of discussion here, just because this is probably the 4th or 5th time that I'm rewatching it now.
Oh, really?
I've
never seen
I've seen it. I've seen it a lot, just because I saw it like so long ago, and then like I always go, hey guys, let's watch Cowboy Bebop. Oh, you've never seen it? Yeah, we definitely have to watch it. So it's been like kind of like that for me. So this is like the 4th or 5th time of me doing that. But it's still, at least for me, it's still like super awesome to watch. Like the first episode gets you started off on such a high note. Next, we're gonna kind of work through gathering all the different characters that are involved in the show, and so definitely looking forward to that. We got Ein this week, and Ein is dope.
Best dog,
Uh,
world,
our-
best
our-
universe, best dog, galaxy.
our Welsh corgi buddy, he's one of the reasons why I love corgi dogs. But yeah, let's talk to Alec, because this is your first time watching it. And we also recommended that we all watch with the English dub. So overall, first impressions for you, Alec. Or first, I'll ask you this: like, what were you expecting going into it? Like, did you know anything about the show or anything like that?
No, I actually didn't know anything. I have managed to make it this far in my life knowing just the name and how the main character sounded. Because you remember back on Toonami, he would announce stuff. I know his voice.
That's right. Yeah,
I know his voice. And I
21
know the
years,
name.
dude.
Yeah, I've gone a long time.
You've gone
so-
21 years without knowing anything.
pretty
about
good.
this.
Oh, I
pretty
did
good.
know
Like,
the,
so
21
the
years.
main
That's gonna be
theme.
the best experience, though.
Yeah, I'm excited
tank,
because I
yeah.
haven't seen anything, but I've heard the main theme because of, I think it was the Crunchyroll Awards, and one of you guys was like, "Oh, that's
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah,
Cowboy
yeah.
Bebop theme," and I was like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah.
Never heard it.
Let's
but,
jam.
So I had no kind of preconceptions going into this whatsoever. And so I was a little surprised actually that it's like space. I mean, I could guess it's cowboy, but like it's like really cowboy, and they have like this super wild west theme. I love the jazz music. Honestly, after the first episode, I was like, I'm hooked. This is dope. Like I'm really liking
See you,
this.
Space Cowboy.
Yes,
Every end of every episode.
every time, yeah.
See you, Space Cowboy.
So I really was digging kind of the vibe that the show has set up in just the first 2 episodes. The characters, the corgis.
What do you think of the format? Kind of like it's almost villain of the week-esque, or bad guy of the week. But what do you think of like the show format itself?
So far, I liked that. I didn't think it was like, I don't know. Sometimes when they do like a villain of the week or just like one thing after another, it gets kind of just, it feels too slice of lifey or whatever because it doesn't have like an overarching plot. But it seems like the plot is building underneath it all, kind of, because like they're adding people to the thing. And so I'm interested to see where it goes and have them continue building the world, because they've got like this syndicate that they talked about. I'm like, are they coming back? And they got these eye drops. Are that coming back? And then they have this dog that is a data dog. I'm like, what the fuck are data dogs? And I'm like, they're introducing all these things and I want to know what they are. So they do a good job of piquing your interest and then kind of dipping out.
Have you seen Firefly?
No.
All right. Well, a lot of people compare Firefly to like to Cowboy Bebop.
It's similar, yeah.
I think I've seen episodes of that. I don't know.
Like Firefly has a similar concept where it's like they're traveling around space, and it's kind of like similar to, you know, like Star Trek-ish stuff where like there's like a certain plot that happens like that it needs to be taken care of, and you know, like super like Wild West type deal like you mentioned. And that goes into the episodic nature of the show, but like you were saying, how they're hinting at it, like there is an overarching like main plot, but you're seeing everything through a more like everyday, like this is the life of this group of space cowboys essentially. Like it is like a monster, not monster of the week, but like there is something that happens every week, but it's not as formulaic as this. Like there are certain themes that are being brought up that tie into everything.
Like right now you get Bounty of the Week, but it's like something... God, really? Is that bad?
Pretty bad.
I think you're good now.
Talking?
All right.
Yeah.
Am I good?
Yeah,
Am I good?
You're safe.
I'm not sure what that is. That's weird. My bad. At least I'm not turning full robot.
Yeah.
You're not converted all the way, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't
Gone full
sucked into the
Dalek.
Matrix fully yet. Sorry. So yeah, this is it's like Bounty of the Week, but the things that happen while they're trying to collect these bounties is it has an impact over time and like the overall kind of storyline that's happening.
And they went to
That's kinda how
Tijuana.
it seems. They did.
They went
They
to
did
to
go to
TJ.
Yeah, buddy.
Got fucked up in
Amigo.
TJ, amigo.
It kind of seems like that though. Like they have something going on in the background, but it's like this is sort of just what they're doing every day, and then aspects or elements of that thing in the background is gonna pop in some of the like things they do during the day and then disappear and come back. That's kind of the vibe I have. I don't know if that's right, but that's kind of how it felt.
We'll find out.
I'm
won't
excited.
we?
It's
Well, Alec will find
we're
out.
Yeah, I'll
we're
find out.
watching because we're watching two episodes a week, so we'll I think it's 26 total, so we'll get through it in about 12 weeks. So yeah, looking forward to it.
I almost
Yeah.
skipped ahead because I was like,
You just goes to episode 26. That would be a bad idea.
That would be a super bad.
No,
What
I mean, like,
is-
I
You
almost
wouldn't know
kept
what the
watching.
fuck is going on.
I almost watched
Straight to
4
the
episodes. Yeah, let me just go watch the last episode real fast.
No, it's good though. I'm glad you're enjoying it because I think all of us can say like this is one of our like foundation shows like that we like one of the shows we watched a long time ago, but it's also just like one of my favorite shows. So
This is
I'm-
my favorite show, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is one of the shows that I ask people, if they've watched it, and then if they haven't, I'm like, well, you need to do that because one, I don't like
fix
you right
that. Fix
One, I
that.
hate
Yeah.
you.
Fix that.
Do,
You need to watch
do
it.
something about it.
because I hate you, but you need to watch it.
I have to say though, the English dub is good, but it's not as good as I remember it being
True.
because there is some pretty bad and racist impressions
The
of
accents?
voices
The
that
accents in the
were
background.
like you
little
could
bit.
tell they were not like of the race and they were trying to sound like the race. Like the first episode in Mexico, like okay, someone's trying, the chick is trying to sound like she's from Mexico, but it's like a very poor impression. And then the next episode in the Chinatown is just like, hey, like that's a very
Yes.
white washed Chinese accent. Like,
So
all right.
Shows back in the day
Yeah.
were racist. Like that's.
Yeah.
I watched the whole first episode subbed, and then I was like, oh fuck, were we supposed to watch this dubbed? And I asked, I was like, what are we watching? I was like, all right, let me rewatch this. And then I rewatched it in with the dub, and I was like, this is very different. this is very very different. Because when you watch it with the sub, it's all Japanese, and there's no accents. It's just all Japanese, but. It's very different.
with what you said though, Rolando, in terms of like remembering it not being like as good as you think it is, I still think it's better than the Japanese. Like the Japanese, like it's done really well, but it's like it's probably a nostalgic thing for me because it's like the first time I watched it was in English.
I have never
but,
seen it in Japanese.
It's
Yeah,
good.
I don't
like
think I have either.
It's
I thought the
good.
sub
It's
was
consistent. It's what you would think for like this kind of show. It kind of reminded me of Bakano, but of like less screaming and yelling. But well, Faye and Ed do scream a lot. So, but it's still good. But I do prefer the dub.
Yeah, it's just like these are like classic voices and like classic lines that they're saying that it's absolutely that nostalgia thing. So I completely agree. When I was rewatching it, I was like, oh man, like
If you-
they know these lines. It's so good.
If you want racism in this show, just wait till we get to the mushrooms episode, and that's all I'll say.
Everyone always talks about the fucking mushrooms episode.
yeah,
That's the
This is
most
like one of the
memorable
best
episodes
episodes.
of the. Yeah, it is one of the
It's
best
so good.
episodes. It's one of the most memorable episodes of the whole series.
dude, Shinichiro Watanabe likes his psychedelic episodes, man. He's all about it.
Hell yeah, brother.
Maybe that's how he comes
Yeah,
up
brother.
with this stuff.
That's also one of the episodes where you realize how fucking smart Ein is. Like he's really smart, just
Yeah.
even in episode 2. But like Ein
Yeah.
is such a smart dog. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm sure and we got Ein in the second episode. Obviously, I think we'll talk more about Ein because like even though he's a voiceless character, he contributes so much to the show, and he's honestly like one of my favorite characters. I like all the characters, but he's like top there, and he doesn't say anything. It's just
Right.
what he
He
does
just
and what they
barks.
have him do. It's
I love how when he was
super-
on the
super
steering wheel
good, so.
pushing buttons.
Yeah, push the button.
Yeah, push the buttons, dude.
And he just trusts that he jumps out of the fucking car that Spike's gonna get him. Like he's such a
Yeah.
He
dude.
just
That
jumps
dog
on
is the
his
best.
face. It was all statistics in his mind, like Alan, all the math. He knows.
Yeah, Ein is dope, but
One thing I have
glad-
to say, I'm sad that I'm moving because I packed up all my speakers. And so I watched this just on my TV with TV speakers, and I'm like, man, I want this
Oh.
with my subwoofer and my
By the way-
surround sound.
One of the streams that I watched this on had the stream was on the surround sound version because I'm like, what the fuck? I only hear reverb and music in this, and I realized like, oh, this is probably like someone ripped it off the DVD and was like, this is the surround sound version. Like, so if you're interested in watching it with your speakers, Alec, then
Then try
you
it.
can watch the surround sound
Yeah,
version.
watch the surround sound version. We'll see. I just wanted it loud because that intro's a banger.
Just wanted it loud.
Yeah, the
So
intro is a
good.
banger, and the music throughout is good too. But
music's
yeah,
really
I'm
good.
super stoked to watch this again. You know, it's never a bad time when you have to rewatch Cowboy Bebop. So Super excited for that.
Classic.
Yep.
Let's move into our next segment. So I think Rolando, Mark, and I went to the Secret World of Arietti. God.
Arietti.
Arietti. So one of the Ghibli Fest shows that they're showing all over the U.S. this year. So this turnaround was Arietti. Had either of you seen it before?
No.
Mm-mm.
Neither
No.
did I. So just a quick synopsis. It's based off of the book, a children's book called The Borrowers. Basically, little people live among us in the real world, and they live in your house, and they go and they borrow things, like, for example, sugar,
Is it really based
herbs,
off that?
spices.
Yeah.
It is
Based
it is
off
based
the
off
novel
that.
by Mary Norton.
That's
in
really
our
cool.
notes.
So yeah, I was familiar with the novel too, and so like when they had like some like quick facts going on before the film started, and I was like, oh, I'm familiar with that. So I kind of like had no expectations going into it. I knew that there was little people in some way, but I'm like, oh, it's based off that. That's cool. So I was kind of stoked for that.
I want to watch it. And
It was
It's good.
good.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of oddly paced. I think that's probably the biggest criticism that I have of it, because you go from like introducing the whole concept of them to them going and doing their first borrow during the night to like shit instantly hitting the fan and then it being like resolved in kind of a half way. It seems like things escalated too quick for me. So that's one of the things that I didn't really like about it. But overall, I thought it was very good. But Mark, your overall thoughts or impressions?
I think it was a really fun movie. I actually really enjoyed it. I was kind of surprised at how much I enjoyed it. This didn't feel like one of the classic Ghibli movies. You could tell it's kind of it was a little bit older than like some of like their originals, like Howl's Moving Castle or like Spirited Away. It just seemed like it was like very cartoony.
But
More right. Right. It's but so like the thing that I enjoyed it because it was a simple movie though. I like that the structure of the movie was just very straightforward. There was just some rising action, and then it settled after that, and there was no like super extended conflict. Like the conflict was resolved, and then they just kind of like left it as like all right, well, they're moving on to like bigger and better things or to a new area, and that was it. I actually enjoyed that. I thought that was it was well done because it kind of cut on runtime, but it was an interesting way to just end a story like that, which you don't quite get that often anymore. Especially in like animated movies, like I don't know, in a lot of like recent like Disney movies, I kind of find myself like being like, all right, well, like how much longer is this movie going to be going on for? Because they'll start like introducing like whatever convoluted memes or new characters and stuff, and have like different points of action. But I think in this movie that the simplicity of it actually helped it a lot. I don't know. It was a good movie. It was a fun watch.
Mark
Glad
and
I got
I
to see it in theaters.
Mark and I saw it together, and we talked about it a bit after watching it, and I agree. The simplicity of it was good, and I kind of mentioned like we haven't like this kind of harkens back to like classic Disney movies where like
Best Disney movies.
yeah, like the way it goes is like you're introduced to the setting and the characters, and then it goes into like you're introduced into their world, and then you're thrown into the plot, and then there's like the climax
Rising action. Yeah.
You almost killed him with your sound. You almost got him.
It's definitely a classic story format, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. Like it felt like a classic Disney movie, and so it's like this movie released in 2010, July 17th, 2010. So like it's not an old movie, but like it does harken back to like the sort of Disney era of animated films, and it's it was just really good. Like I don't know, like I felt like
Pardon.
I was just satisfied after watching it. I didn't really have any main qualms with it. Like I just was satisfied.
I think we all did have one main qualm though, and that was some of the translations in the subtitles. One of the things that
human
I
beings?
human beings instead of
Yeah, I
human
was like-
beings. And the stupid part about that is like they were writing that as the subtitle, but it's like they're just saying humans.
Just
You
saying
hear them say
humans.
Ningen, you know, a human person. So I think that was a little goofy, and then some of the choices they made for the language was a little funky, but
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't detract anyway. It was just the first time it came up, everyone in the theater kind of laughed, and
Yeah.
that was that.
Is that something from the book? Because I don't
don't know, yeah.
quite remember reading the book, but I thought like there had to be a reason behind them
felt-
saying human beings.
Yeah,
Like,
It
that's what I
felt
thought
like
too.
it felt like they were like trying to say human beings, but then just didn't do it correctly. But I feel like that would have been caught.
No, but they're in
So,
Japanese. They just say ningen.
they just say
Yeah,
Negan, like it's humans. Like
No,
there
so in
had
the
to be a
book,
reason, like creative reason. I
If
don't
it's
know.
based off the Barrows, in the Barrows book, they call them human beings.
Okay,
BEANs.
then that's why. So like I had a
okay.
feeling like it had to do with the actual like original source, because like they wouldn't do that
Yeah.
in the translation unless it was
Yeah,
like
it
from
just
the
seemed
source.
Otherwise-
kind of awkward.
Otherwise, intern Kun is fired. Like
See, this is where we need a TL note. You know, we need a like they call them human beings because the book says so, and then we all understand and nobody questions it anymore.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, okay, it's not just a translation error.
Yeah. One of the things that I was thinking about watching it, and I wanted to ask you specifically this, Rolando, since you know a lot about sound. I thought one of the best parts of it was the sound differences when you would see like from Arietti's perspective or her family's perspective versus like the human perspective, and so I kind of like say like down here for the borrowers and up here for the regular humans, but how they made those decisions I thought was like super awesome. So like they had rain, and I thought rain was a really interesting choice for that kind of perspective because it interacts like us when we're in the rain versus something small in the rain. It's like totally different experience, right? You get hit by a raindrop and you're little, it's like getting knocked over. But just in terms of the sound, it was hitting off of leaves and they sounded like much greater than like what we would normally hear about it. So I thought the decisions and the choices they made with sound was like super awesome. But I did want to get your overall impressions of that, Rolando, since you kind of work in that industry.
Yeah,
Resident expert.
the definitely the sound design and the overall creative choices are not what you expect, because it's like if you've seen other Ghibli films, they don't do this, and like this is just like a typical critique of how sound is done in general in Japan. Like they don't, it's not like what you're used to in Hollywood. So like it's not as like big and like sort of filled out as like you would get from like a typical like blockbuster Hollywood film. They're definitely more sporadic. They don't feel the need to fill everything. But this film, so like if you didn't know, since like this was like a post Disney like merger acquisition film of Ghibli, so they used Skywalker sound for the sound design and mix for this film, and like it shows because I was like the specific scene where it's like it's Arietti's first borrow, and there's like the sound of the pulley that brings her up, and it sounds like huge, and it that was like the first time where I noticed like, man, like they really like took a lot of thought and attention to the sound design in this film, because like they make you feel small. Like you feel small when like you listen to the sound design in the film. And like Drew mentioned with the rain, like yeah, you know, we can joke about how like all Shinkai films have fucking rain in it, but this isn't a Shinkai film. Like this is a Ghibli film, and like, you know, comparing the two, it's like obviously there's a lot of rain in Shinkai films, and like it just sounds like rain, but in this you sound like it sounds like it's a huge
Thunderous
downpour.
rain.
Or it's thunderous. Like you feel
Yeah.
small.
No, overwhelming, yeah.
And you feel like
Yeah.
you're overwhelmed, and I thought that was like a very interesting decision to do, because like you
Yeah.
just you feel like you're in the perspective
You're
of the
that
borrowers.
size.
Yeah.
Right. The thing that stood out to me with the sound was the movement. So when the boy, I forget his name, like
Show, I
when
think.
when he's moving next to Arietti, you like hear this kind of like subtle wind, and it's like whenever he's moving around or when he's walking or when he's interacting with something, you hear everything in this sense that it's just so large, and just from like these subtle movements in this world, and you feel like you're like there next to Arietti, and you're her size, because anything that is bigger than you is just gonna cause some sort of sound or like impact on your world. So I thought that was like just really interesting, and it just definitely pulls you in even more into being like there as like a spectator. And yeah, it was so cool.
What I was gonna say is I'm really happy we saw it in theaters, because I don't think we would have gotten that good of an impression of the sound. Like, sure, watching at home, like, you know, you have the speakers and stuff like that, but to be able to have that full like surround sound kind of experience that you get in a movie theater is like super awesome. And it was definitely like, because they did such a good job on the sound, it was, you know, it made you feel immersed in that kind of situation, you know, being small, which is the point of the film pretty much. So.
And small.
Sounds like it
Being
would
a
remind
small
me
boy.
of The Secret of Nim.
Small.
Watching that way back when.
Actually,
it's
yes.
kind of similar.
Yeah.
It had similar vibes too, for sure.
I
Yes.
love that movie. So
That's actually one of my all-time favorite movies as well.
I think you would like
and
this, Alec.
I would.
it
Yeah,
sounds
you would for
something.
sure
I
like
The
it.
Borrowers. So, and they have an old movie
Yeah.
called The Borrowers. From a long
Yeah,
time
I
ago.
think it was on. I remember seeing it on like Disney Channel. I was thinking about that as I was watching it too. Same sort of concept, but I'm glad I at a point too that I didn't like do any research on it to kind of be like surprised about this, because I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, I knew I would like it because I like most Ghibli films, but I didn't expect to like it as much as I did.
Yeah, agreed.
The nice thing about everything that I've just been thinking about is like we can like now go to movies and watch anime films, which is not something that we've been able to do like in the past. So it's like super cool to be able to do that like 2 weeks in a row, or not necessarily like right in a row, but like a couple weeks back to back. Like we've been able to go and watch like a premiere and then like a re-release of a like really famous studios film. That's awesome.
I'm
in
jelly
America.
of the kids growing up these days, and they're like, "Oh, I like anime. Oh, I can see it in theaters."
I have to say though,
That's pretty cool.
watching Ghibli in theaters is definitely different than watching other anime films in theaters, because the audience is different, and
Yeah.
definitely in typical watching just normal anime films, everyone's super disrespectful in the movie theater. They act like they can just talk
Like they're
and
just
laugh
at
out
home.
loud,
Yeah.
like they're just at
watching
home.
it. Yeah.
Whereas, like, you know, Mark and I watched Secret World of Arietti together, and everyone was just respectful
Like,
in the
we're in a
movie theater,
movie.
normal movie etiquette.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything. I don't think.
Nobody fucking said anything. Whereas, like Promare, people were like yelling and, you know, laughing really
I had
loud and
people
stuff.
standing in the aisles trying to get a better seat than the one that they paid for, and I'm literally trying to read the subs,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Sit down," and they're like,
I had a similar experience. I can talk about it briefly since it's the next thing. But like watching Rascal Doesn't Dream of a Dreaming Girl. So I saw that on Thursday, and dude, everyone's just fucking talking in the movie. Like, do people not understand movie etiquette? Like, do you not go and watch movies? Like,
That was one of the main reasons like I stopped going to movies, is because like I can't handle that, and it's just like everyone shut the fuck up.
The only other time I've seen this is like watching Avengers in a movie theater. It's like,
I was gonna say
is
that,
it is it like is it just nerd culture that people don't understand like social cues? Like
I think it is like
it
the
says
social
in
thing,
the
like when you're
beginning,
with friends.
it says in the beginning of the movie, it says please be respectful of your other moviegoers. They play that at the beginning of every movie. It doesn't matter what movie theater you are. It's like, please, like, don't ruin it for everybody by just being loud and disrespectful in a movie theater.
Like that is one reason I didn't like watching some of the Avengers, is because some of the people that were in there were like, yeah, oh,
They're just
kill
like
him!
yelling, yeah.
And I'm like, do you think your artistic vision is better than the people that created this movie? Let it play like it's supposed to fucking play. And when they made it, they didn't envision you screaming, yeah, fucking kill him. Okay? Like, go away.
Yeah, like there's a difference when you're shouting out like in excitement or laughing out loud
like,
for
or
something
like,
that happens on
yeah.
screen, and like, you're like cheering and being like hype about stuff, because that's cool. That's like part of like the experience that I want to be a part of when I go see something like on a release. But exactly, like when people start like shouting out interjections like in the middle of something that's happening, or start yelling out just random nonsense, like that's where I draw the line. It's like that's so unnecessary, dude. Like just like don't do that. And I think that comes from like when like maybe it is like nerd culture that goes together in groups. They feel like they
feel like they need to fucking say something about it.
Right, because they do that maybe at home or in
with their
own
friends.
social, right, in their own social settings, wherever it is, and they think it's okay. I don't know.
I'm gonna say we're a part of nerd culture. I've gone to movies, I'm pretty sure, with all of you. And there are times when I'm watching a movie where I want to fucking say something, and I don't say something. You know what I do? We leave the movie, and then after we're out the doors, I'm like, oh, remember that time with the thing? Oh, wasn't that?
Or you whisper it.
Or whisper
Or
something.
you whisper it.
Yeah, or you mumble it, and then you go and you laugh about it to yourselves. You don't fucking bother.
You don't just yell it in the middle of the
Yeah.
movie theater. I just like, come on, guys. Let's be more respectful to each other.
Right.
That's the reason why
I turned to Rolando during Ariete, and I was like, yeah, and then the cat just eats her, like.
Yeah.
But I was like, I like whispered that and just like quietly laughed.
Quietly chuckle. Yeah.
It's one of the main reasons like I stopped going to the movies, and one of the reasons like I won't go see scary movies in a movie theater, even though the experience is super dope when you can get into a theater where there's like no one saying anything. And I think actually this week I'm gonna go see the second chapter of It. Now that it's like been a few weeks, so hopefully I get into a theater there's not that many people. Because I hate it when people like scream and yell and all that stuff. It's like just don't let me enjoy my
When
movie.
they're like,
or it's like it's not even like a scary part, and then like someone's like freaking yelling and shit. And it's just like shut up. But anyway, let's move on. Rolanda, you mentioned the Rascal Doesn't Dream of Dreaming Girl premiere. So brief impressions of that for those who've seen it. I think we're offering a spoiler-free version.
Yeah,
so,
this is spoiler-free. If you want the spoiler version, I'm gonna record a shot of this this week, because there's some definitely interesting things that happen in this movie in relation to like the whole quantum entanglement kind of stuff. So if you're interested in hearing about that, then I will definitely talk about it, because there's definitely interesting things that this movie goes over. But if you want the spoiler-free recommendation, watch this film if you enjoyed Bunny Girl Senpai. So if you watched the anime and you enjoyed it, definitely watch this. It covers the whole arc of the girl that we don't see in the anime, and it covers the whole arc, and it does wrap up the story very well, because you see that all of the foreshadowing that they have and like kind of everything they've set up in the anime just gets resolved. Like the movie starts just like it's a continuation of the anime. So I'm not going to spoil anything. There's definitely a lot of stuff that happens, and like you react and you're like, oh fuck. But definitely watch it if you're a fan of the series, and if you want to hear more kind of in-depth stuff, then I'll release a shot on my opinions of it this week.
Cool.
Cool. Cool.
All right. Last thing that we're going to talk about, then we'll kind of wrap for today. This was kind of like a pleasant surprise, but Azur Lane premiered, and I think most of us, we all watched it, right?
Yes.
So somebody previewed it last week. Basically, the ship girls, but we have both the American, British ships as well as the Japanese and German ships this time around. But it was actually like really enjoyable. Am I right? Like. I think I was kind of putting off watching it because I'm just like I like Ship Girls, but it didn't translate well to an anime. What's this gonna be? And I was just like thinking of like so much of like what Cancale is in the back of my mind, but this was actually like really well done. The characters were interesting, and they did a great job in one episode of setting up exactly what to expect kind of going forward. With that said, does anyone kind of want to jump in, give our first impressions, or?
I wasn't quite. I didn't quite know it exactly like what to expect from the anime. I wasn't sure if they were gonna do like story from the game, or if they were just gonna create like original story. But I was actually I was very pleasantly surprised. I was also surprised that the animation was done so well. I wasn't quite expecting it to be as good as it was, but it was really cool. It was a fun watch, and it was great seeing some waifus appear on screen. But we haven't seen Best Waifu quite yet in the story. She was only in the OP, but that's just personal.
Because you play the phone.
Throw that out there.
I remember it because you
played
showed
the
me
game,
at Anime Expo on the train.
talking
You're
about-
like, oh, check out ship waifus, dude.
Are you talking
I
about?
was like,
Are you talking about Belfast?
Belfast, yeah, that's waifu for me. You just see her giant opie like in the
Opals.
OP. You see her
opals,
opals where
dude.
she's pouring tea, and I was like, oh yeah, can't wait for her to come on screen. Yes.
So Mark, you play the mobile game. Like, what style of game is it?
It's like it's like your typical gacha side scroller kind of action. I mean, essentially, it's
You're
just
shooting at
collecting waifus.
ships.
Yeah, you're shooting at ships. Like the old what is it? Raiden. That's like like the flying games. Except it's like going to the side, and your ships are the waifus. So you control them as they're like shooting sideways.
It works like Concole, but it's more action oriented, whereas like Concole is more the arcade game is like you're pressing things in real time, but the actual like web browser game is you're selecting things in like kind of turn-based thing. It's more of like just real time. It's side scrolling, and then like you move your character around and like do attacks.
Yeah. Use abilities. They have really good stories, like really interesting stories, like where they're always introducing new units and stuff. And then they'll
Is
have
it is it out on
stuff.
global too, or?
Yeah, there's an English version.
Yep.
I was surprised
cool.
by the show. I was not sure really what to expect because I saw the game and I was like, is this just going to be a show full of fan service? But it reminded me a
little
lot
bit of that.
of watching Strike
bit,
Witches. It was, and I actually really enjoy watching that show. So I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'll probably continue watching it at least for the foreseeable future. See how it goes, and if it flops and it's awful, then I'll drop it. And if it's
I can see it getting lame just because of what I know about Cancale, but if they keep it up like kind of how or at least like the format they had going first, like I was like really into that first battle. I was like getting emotional. I was like, yeah, USA, the Eagles flying, we're doing battle. It's pretty cool. I was into it. I was more into it than I expected to be, for sure.
Yeah, but the Soccer Empire is dope, man. They have some really.
They got Fox Girls. They got the Zeros. They're flying around in
They
there.
don't even have the best ones from the Soccer Empire.
Who's that?
I'm not gonna say.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see them.
I don't know, but I'm waiting for
We'll see.
Belfast to appear.
Oh yeah. Man of culture.
that Belfast is pretty dope. I'm waiting for some of the other ships you showed me, Mark. I'm like, I didn't even see them in the OP. Where are some of these other ones?
Wait, like serious or?
I don't remember, man.
The latest one is Formidable. That's the one that's in the game right now that everybody's like, in love with.
I think
Insidious.
I think this will be a show that I think most of us are going to continue watching. I don't necessarily know if there'll be much to talk about it, but maybe when Belfast appears, we'll do shout out to.
I think she's gonna appear next episode.
Probably next episode, I'm sure.
We'll see. Very cool. Anything else to add about Azure Lane?
The animation's actually good. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
It's a new studio.
Yeah. Yeah,
the
same.
CG they added wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Azure Lane subreddit, when that giant fox appears, people are like, wait a minute, when the fuck are we getting this in the game? Where did this come from?
Next week, Mark.
That doesn't happen.
No, but that's
we don't
what
have
gives
this.
that's what gives it the Strike Witches vibe. Like the whole CG full scale battle stuff. Like they didn't do this really in Konkole. Like
Yeah, not really.
the Konkole anime was like, all right, well sometimes there's battles, but most of the part it's slice of life.
Yeah.
This anime is just like, hey, well we know you guys like the action and fuck here it
So
is.
we're gonna do the action too. Yeah.
Fight,
It's
watch
very
it.
cool. All right, let's close it up today, gentlemen. Any announcements that anyone has? We're working on that. That's our announcement.
Mark,
We're gonna fix Mark's mic. for
we'll
next
fix Mark.
week.
We're
We'll
gonna
fix Mark.
we're gonna make sure he doesn't turn full robot.
Yeah.
We're gonna save your soul from the robot.
Please.
Go back to the light, to the human, Mark.
I have like a little like mini, I guess, announcement or whatever. I finished Catherine. I did a couple different endings, including the new one, and it was
Oh,
good.
Quathrins?
That's pretty fast.
Oh wait. Yeah.
It's the game's not that long. It's about, if you've never played it before, probably like 12 to 14 hours for one ending. But once you do the first ending, you can go zoom through a bunch of it. But I put it on hold for now. There's 13 endings. I don't want to get all 13 right now. So I moved on to God of War. So I go from a dude in a relationship crisis to a father screaming at his son. So,
Top tier father figure.
Yeah.
it's been
Still a
fun
better
so
dad
far.
than Goku.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Good point. That's a good point.
Honestly, Goku's awful.
Absolutely.
Piccolo's a better dad.
It's giving me like a little bit of a Dark Souls vibe, but like added in puzzles. In terms of the combat, it reminds me a lot of Dark Souls, so I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. So, but yeah, it's been cool. So
Yeah, you know what? So I do have an announcement to make. So on the topic of having guests on the show, yes, absolutely, we are open to having guests. I think within either next week or the week after that, we will have a special guest. I have a friend who has a really good friend who wants to be on the show, and so if you are interested in being on the podcast, send us an email. Our email is animeondraft@gmail.com. Just let us know that you're interested. Just send us a quick blurb. Just say, you know what, I love the show. I would love to talk with you guys, and of course we'll respond right away. So we'll talk about it, but absolutely, if you want to be on the show and you want to talk to us, we'll highly consider it, because we want to get some other voices on here, especially with the release of all the new series that are coming out. We want to see what other people are thinking about some new shows, and just to kind of get some other opinions on here. But yeah, so be on the lookout for that special guest in the next couple of weeks. It'll be an interesting one. You may have heard her name. You may know her, but
You may know
before,
her
like,
or not.
Before
Depends
I
on
give it
your-
away, like
Your view on certain things.
before I get, like, we'll see what happens. But it'll be a good time. So yeah, special guests, definitely. Hit us up.
Like Mark said, check out that email, animeondraft@gmail.com. It's in the chat. You can also always get a hold of us on Twitter at animeondraft to send us a DM. Mark will be looking at those. Our WordPress, is it updated, Rolando?
No,
Or
we're migrating to a new
Yeah,
website, so just don't.
We're in a
Don't worry about it. We're in a transitionary period.
Transition, yes.
Transitionary period.
Transition.
What I do know exists though is the Instagram. So if you want to see what we're drinking, other kind of social posts like that, it is Anime on Draft Podcast. That is our Instagram. You can also, if you're joining us today on Twitch.tv, thank you. Oh no. We're reacting to chat. Thank you, chat.
Thank you, chat.
we are actually live. We are on
are.
twitch.tv/animeondraft. We go live every Sunday. So make sure that if you're around on Sunday around 7 PST, we will be going live. And we are also posting our podcast at where podcasts are found. So you can find us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you go to any of these places, like us, follow us, leave us a review. It lets everyone be able to find us in the future. We do really appreciate that. Leave that 5-star review, hit that follow button, whatever you got to do. Like I said, we appreciate it going forward. With that said, I think that does it for us this week. We reviewed the Sierra Nevada 2019 Oktoberfest as well as a few others. Next week, it sounded like we're moving into some pumpkin beers. So if you're a fan of festive pumpkin spice, make sure you check us out next week. But I think that's all we got. So until next time, we will see you later.
Goodbye.
Bye.